It's just the context. I love that way. So yeah, so she's in Toronto. And I was with NA. She's got some really somewhere. Yeah, digitally, and I printed them away. Oh, really? And then I'm guessing Fremantle.
No.
You don't know? Really? Wow. And then my new printer. Like I've got just put it up. Really nice one. Yeah. Hey? You can actually change it to a DTS.
Yeah.
But then you have to break everything to do it.
Yeah.
Actually, you can say that.
Yeah. I just say you can do it.
It's never really long.
I think one of the big questions that I should be asking.
Yeah. What have you got? I've got the Jackson 88 past 50 because I watched a lot of TikToks. And it's the best stuff.
Testing, 1, 2, 3. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Welcome to SICKAFcolective's first Clean Air Initiative and Mask event. I'd like to begin today by acknowledging the traditional owners of the land in which we meet, people of the nation, and pay my respects to elders past and present. We acknowledge the lived experience in the room and beyond. Clean air isn't just about health, it's about inclusion. This event and our other elements in our exhibitions are born from discussions in the collective about alternative types of access for the missing audiences. People whose lives and arts practices are shaped by health, care roles, geographic distance and awareness. Together, we are trying digital and hybrid cultural experiences for our needs. On behalf of the SICKAFcollective, I thank you for attending and supporting the to those artists here today, who are able to attend in person, and to those watching online. Hello. My name is Christina, and I'm the mother of Alderson, who is the curator of the exhibition and presenting artist in the collective. The theme of this exhibition, The Storm, depicts each artist's personal journey as they traverse and maneuver their own uncharted waters in their daily lives, appreciating being able to present their art here today and what it means to them. Following the inaugural SICKAF exhibition in 2024, which is now touring the state with Art on the Move, the SICKAFcollective launched the second exhibition, Storm, opening last Saturday afternoon. It was very well received and with much interest shown with regards to our approach to promoting awareness of what is needed in the community and the healing journey. As with our last exhibition, and this one, people are taking the time to scan the QR codes and really look, read and take note of their journeys. Some lovely comments in the guest book are very heartfelt. So take a moment to view the QR codes of the artists, if not now in the gallery, later at home. It is all online for you to read. It is well worth a read to understand the journeys. We also have Museum in the Box, which is over there on the right-hand side. Museum in the Box is a SICKAFcollective initiative that enables a housebound person to explore their own creativity at their own pace. A conceptual idea that hopefully will blossom as ideas unfold, giving artistic accessibility to those unable to attend groups, etc., enabling them to explore new interests. We hope this concept will flourish in the future, allowing the person to explore their own untapped talents at their own pace. This concept was interestingly appreciated by many who attended last Saturday and during our exhibition hours. Their interest and support for this project signifies an inherent need within the housebound community. If you have any queries or wish to purchase any works, please go to the online shop or see one of the SICKAF attendants in the SICKAF t-shirts. Artworks are purchasable online through QR codes, or jump online to sickaf.com.au and visit Buy Art. Each purchase sustains an artist, helping him to continue to create exhibit and challenge assumptions. Subscribe, like and follow to stay up to date with our next shows, including Creating Space at Mundaring Arts Centre next year and the SICKAF Regional Tour. Thank you for attending today. Enjoy the exhibition and safe travels.
Thank you. What's a voice? Yes,
Sudden chronic illness feels as though your limp, sick and exhausted body has been swept up and swallowed by an enormous wave. That wave rips through your identity of self. All of the parts of yourself you've built or what you've instilled within yourself are now ruined, total debris. Your occupation, abilities, finances and future plans are fading off in the distance as you're swept further and further away from yourself. Looking at myself in the mirror is a distorted image, through fogged glass. I don't see myself anymore, a stranger in the reflection. If I ever look, that is. It's subtle, the grey hairs growing and giving up on colouring my hair because the fatigue is too immense. Not remembering the last time I put makeup on or plucked my eyebrows because it's the least of my worries. To a dresser full of clothes, yet tracksuits are worn, clothing I wouldn't have been caught dead in prior to illness. All of these things, no matter how big or little, when they slowly chip and fall away, you seem to lose more and more parts of your identity. And sometimes you wonder, is there anything left of me at all? If I ask myself the question, who am I don't know. Previously, I would have been able to answer that question. Now I cannot. I thought how cruel as I sunk deeper and deeper into the conditions and symptoms and the emotions that came with it. I sunk lower and lower, almost as though I was somehow below the seabed. I couldn't possibly get any lower. It took everything away from me. Even conversations with my children and partner were sparse because my ability to do so was impaired. It was lonely. There was no life raft. Doctors couldn't give me a fix-all medication or even a clear pathway of getting back to my old self. FND seems to be up for debate amongst clinicians, so it shouldn't shock you that there is no procedure or policy in regard to a new diagnosis. A website is mentioned, or in my case, I was told that if I just had got back onto my old medications, I would be back to normal. I was so hopeful within the first years, believing if I tried hard enough, I would get better. It set in randomly one day that these conditions were lifelong, and remission wasn't for myself. My hubris was believing remission would become reality. When I reflect back on my life, I can see how this storm wasn't new. I have felt it many, many times before, but within a different climate, a different seabed. Please understand, I have never had a person to base a moral compass on. The adults within my life haven't been safe, well-adjusted people. My compass, I've created and moulded myself in a fractured manner through my lived experiences. I have never felt as though a lighthouse or a home is a beacon of hope and safety. I'm wary of my surroundings and others. What feels like safety soon turns unsafe. Home as a child wasn't a safe space. I have to remind myself every day that I am safe, a mantra born out of becoming ill. I feel as though I have lived alone on a boat trying to figure out how to steer it with no knowledge of nautical life. I felt like I've had no help, support, or somebody protecting me. Life was for myself to figure out alone. I also feel that I've walked the plank many times. The anxiety and fear have been a constant theme within my life. Walking the plank, being physically unable to swim, life feels as though it wasn't meant for me. The familiarity of the storm, walking the plank, falling below sea level, feelings of drowning, or my own brain voting for its own mutiny against me. The raw truth is this isn't new. I was born into this. The only newness is that I have these new waves that crash. I've ridden many different waves before. The sexual, physical, emotional, abused and neglected child wave. The disabled, prejudiced and discriminated against wave. The unhealthy relationship wave. The mental health and all-encompassing and swallowing complex PTSD wave. Now I have these added waves, the chronic illness wave and the psychosocial disability wave as a result of my conditions and experiences. These waves have created a beast. Chronic illness has seemed to have mixed all of these different waves and created an entire ocean. An ocean that lasts forever. It's vast. The brutality and enormity of the ocean of chronic illness feels way more intense. Intertwined with my past experiences, interwoven and interconnected at every crash and fall, emotions are larger and feelings constantly demand to be felt like an undercurrent. Nerve pain pulsates. The symptoms thrash your weak body around, smashing against rocks, unable to get out of the current even when you scream and protest enough. The ocean becomes more vicious. This ocean feels cruel, unpredictable, and whilst familiar, a totally different beast, just like the new conditions I live with. Both the storm and the wave cannot be tamed. However, I have forged something to battle these storms, my own anchor. An anchor as old as myself. I have crafted and built it on my own merits. A tool that I have leaned into a lot after the crash of chronic illness. I realised early on in life, beauty and creativity can be made within these waves and storms, either as an act of kindness and quiet refuge, a safe space and sanctuary for healing, and a time for self-agency, mind organising, and self-growth, or as an act of rebellion towards the situations I find myself in. I oscillate between these stages when I create. The only constant anchor within my life and experiences has been the act of art. Drawing and creating within storms, a tool of grounding and salvaging the self since early childhood, a skill I have mastered through the decades of practice. My anchor is a piece of paper, ever so light, yet to me, it holds so much weight.
One. Leaving the archipelago, I wept inside, but kept a map, haptic, sensory, smells of the jetty at night, wavelets lap, rhythmic below the boards, sea-splashed pylons, salt glint of shells in damp nets spread to dry, memory's sanctuary, full moon suspended tangerine on black, reef colonies, pelagic fish, their secret life I long to share again if only I were well, could still breathe underwater. An ill storm made me a chronic castaway. Mainland ways feel harsh, hurried, loud. New hazards loom, fresh diagnoses plot my body chart. No rock pools to break my falls, only hard ground. 2. The Abrolhos were my haven. There, escape was a species of healing. Existence among spare vegetation, resilient creatures was enough, I thought. Seduced by island time, blind to the reciprocity of ocean life, misreading it as simple. Past the coastal edge, on land sea's ecotone, those outliers are heirs of a wilderness. Once my refuge, now it keeps me at bay. Morning reefs, seabirds wheel, flutter, fearlessly dive down to the abyss which teems with fish restlessly darting through marine canyons. I crave their aqueous existence, world without end, or at least without sickness. 3. Desk-bound. Unfolding the island map, I wrote the island's walkways, caves, from memory. Taboo places explored, that beckoned, drew me into a time fissure where sequence slipped in the mist beat between a single thought and its breath. I was tranced and enchanted by the liminal, where my worlds overlapped. In reverie's flow I followed desire paths to lost boundaries, faint clues, thresholds. Once again sundial shadows unspooled, wind veins reversed. My vital signs and symptoms, tracking an ever-present prognosis, were banished, and I transcended all pain. 4. I have grown so tired of translating scans, acronyms, ambiguous calligraphies, doctors' prescriptions, of onshore culture, its addiction to data. Though at times on the islands, which are one evolutionary step above sandbanks, visitors obsessed by taxonomies would list their catch like solemn train spotters: trout, rainbow, coral, dewfish, bulch and groper. Quote dates, times, reefs, islands, wallaby, Easter, Pelset. We colonise the wild with language, chronic claimants of all natural things which don't belong to us, and once thrived undivided by our borders, coordinates, isobars. 5. In shallow shoal waters, the silent dance of complex cross-species symbiosis sustaining microscopic life would seem surreal to us if bare eyes could see it. Mobile bright algae housed inside polyps of sessile coral rise sunwards to sip light, photosynthesize and feed their host, which, being animal, can't make energy. All flourishing is mutual. A far cry from these islands' haunting history. How Batavia, the Dutch Navy's proud flagship on her maiden voyage, laden with spoils, 330 souls, devilry and greed, was foiled by darkness, reef-foundered, and sank. 6. Blue coral grew over her lost cannons, rotten timbers colonised as habitat by sea creatures bound in life-death-life cycles. Mostly death. The climate's wounds are fatal. Algae threatened by heating shallows flee the reefs, taking all colour with them. Or violent storms drag them from their hosts, helpless against such harm. Fade is their only verb. Although I have no cure, and can never go back, words keep my sanctuary alive, and now I have even more need of it than before. I read its memory map, wondering what we could change if we knew the ruin of continuing to live as we do.
Amanda Alderson. Dead Reckoning explores navigation as a metaphor in pinpointing complex diagnostics in chronic illness, injury and disability, and in the trialling of new treatment plans. A vital tool but with inherent fallibilities, dead reckoning is a navigation method relying on estimating one's current track from past bearings. Plunged between the island groups of Occam's razor and Hickman's dictum, navigation is tumultuous, erratic, requiring feats of endurance. A constant push-pull between medical disciplines, hypotheses in care, diagnostics and treatments. Dead reckoning is how I feel as a complex patient. Often finding nothing, often retracing your path, often colliding with the unknown, the vast unmapped spaces, the submerged reefs, causing chaos and confusion, occasionally finding land. I often feel like a rogue explorer, braving the unknown in ferocious seas with a captive crew. Sea-weary. Every storm is a battle. Land is a shipwreck. Lack of wind is lack of progress. But when I pause to look, in the stillness, I see inherent knowledge of how to survive and to even thrive exists all around me. Different ways of being emerge gently, on the islands, in the ocean, and through people, patients, sharing their lived experiences. I was never the first person here. I will never be the last. I hold my breath, dive deep, and uncover these treasures. The imagery of the ocean, of navigation, shipwreck, treading water, and the act of drowning and of submersion is the constant visual dialogue of my injury. These motifs are how I make sense of my experiences. Dead Reckoning is a convergence of works made across my health journey. Uncharted waters, voyage to disaster, wayfaring, anchored in limestone reefs, the Abrolhos Islands and the Batavia wreck.